One. Hello, my name is Michael at KB9VBR, and today I'm going to give you a little bit of tour of my ham radio shack. It's located in the basement of my house in beautiful downtown Wausau, Wisconsin. So here's the basic layout. Right here we've got the HF rig. This is used for the shortwave bands, 80 meters up through about 10 meters. Above that, it's an ICOM IC718. It's about 10 years old, entry-level rig, but it serves me quite well. Above that, this is the MFJ Deluxe Versa Tuner 2. This is an antenna tuner. What it's used for is to assure that I've got a good 50 ohm match between my radio and my antennas. So there's a series of capacitors and inductors in here where I can kind of tweak those settings as I move around on different frequencies and different bands, so my antenna is always going to match the radio. An important piece of equipment to have. Above that, this is a VHF UHF rig. It's called the Kenwood TM-V7A. This is used for local communications, talking to other hams in the community, maybe 50-60 miles out, depending on the conditions. And also, I'll show you how we can connect via the internet with this radio to talk to hams all over the radio. Above that, this is a speaker, just so I can hear my audio better. Another 2-meter rig's not hooked up at the moment. Power supply. All of our radios use 12 volts DC, so we need to convert the household 120 volt current down to 12 volts DC, so power supplies are important. Below it, another 2-meter radio. This is an ICOM 2100. I use this for, and the little radio modem above it, I use it to send and receive email over the radio waves. A great feature to have if you're not connected to the internet, to be able to send email and to receive email through the radio. Another power supply. And next to here is our computer monitor, CPU, keyboard, etc. Nowadays you can do a lot of your radios can be computer controlled, so you can do a lot of the functions right from the screen and the keyboard in order to encode and decode maybe some digital modes, or to log your contacts if you're in a contest or whatnot. So. Alright, right now we're listening to the 20-meter band. 20 meters is a great band for long-haul communications. As the sun sets, the signals will bounce on the ionosphere, and you can get 600, 1200, 2400 miles or more of distance based upon how that signal is bouncing across the ionosphere. Right now we're listening to a US based station, but right now if you hear that station with the Irish accent, that is Echo India 3. That's, according to my chart, he's located in Ireland.
Roger, Tony, the handle there is Doug, Delta, Oscar, Uniform, Golf, and the location is Marco Island, Florida. So if you're collecting islands tonight, it would be NA052. We're right here on the Gulf of Mexico, just below Naples and Fort Myers, Florida. Actually below Naples. What can I say? The weather is beautiful here, and how's the weather there, Tony? Let's see, what is it? EI3GABWA9AAA.
Very big signal from your location. The working station here is the ICOM 756 Pro 2. I'm running with just 100 watts, and the antenna is a very small hybrid unity. This one is by TCM of Canada, only 5 feet in the bow length, and the antenna delivering to
Alright, what you're hearing, that noise that kind of sounds like metallic crickets, This is called PSK31. Now, PSK31 is a digital mode that we use for communicating hundreds, or if not thousands of miles over the radio waves. It gets its name 31, or if the PSK means phased shift keying, that's how the audio sound is made through shifting the phase of the audio signal. 31 means it's only 31 hertz wide. The signal is 31 hertz wide, so very narrow banded. If you look here on the bottom half, this is what we call our waterfall display. There are at least 6, 8 different communications going on here within the individual, what's called passband. So this entire space would be the equivalent of one voice communication band. There's passband, and we can fit, literally dozens of these little digital signals in here. And all I got to do to decode them is in my decoder program here that's running on the computer. Is just click on them, and now I'm getting the message WM6V from N2LHW. I don't really have to run, but nice being here. We are located about 20 miles west of Binghamton, south of the Finger Lakes, about an hour south of Ithaca. That would be Cornell University in New York State. So we're listening to somebody that's chatting away from New York State, about approximately 1,200 miles away from here. If I were to carry on a conversation, all you would have to do would be to click in this little window here. I could start typing my message. The program would automatically key my transmitter, and we could have a two-way conversation, much like you would in a chat room. It's about that fast. It transmits about as fast as you can type, maybe 30 words a minute. Boy, what is this crazy sound? This is RTTY, radio teletype. I don't know if you've heard of a teletype machine, but they've been in existence since, I'd say way back until the 1920s, 1930s. A keyboard that would send out, as you type on the keyboard, it would actuate a radio, either an electronic signal that would go through the telegraph lines, or later models did with the radio teletype go through the radio lines. What we're hearing here is two signals, one at 750 hertz, another one at 1500 hertz, and they're alternating in order to send the radio teletype message. It's a very old mode. It's been used, like I said, it's been used regularly on the airwaves since the 1950s, but still to this day, an efficient mode of communications. Alright, we're going to switch gears here a little bit, get off the HF bands, and look at sort of the local and short-range communication that we can do with ham radio. This particular radio is the one I use for VHF and UHF. That's 140. VHF would be 144 to 148 megahertz. UHF would be 430 to 450 megahertz. I think the easiest way to kind of explain that is VHF would be around channel 19 on your television. UHF would be like around up in the higher numbers. The UHF band is like the 40s and the 50s. Channel 55 I think is about 400. Actually, is a little bit higher than that even. But we use this radio a lot. We use it actually to communicate with other hams using what's called a repeater. When I transmit on this radio, it'll put out a signal, and it'll be picked up by another radio that's in a very high location on a 1,000-foot tower, and retransmit my signal so that I can, with this radio, I can talk to people 60, 70 miles away. KB9 VBR.
Welcome to the W9SM2 meter repeater, May 15,
8:32 p.m.
And that's the repeater identifying itself with its own call sign and a welcome message. If I wanted to switch, I can just turn the knob here. I can switch to another repeater. Say I wanted to talk to somebody in Wisconsin Rapids. I'm just going to dial up the Wisconsin Rapids repeater, and I'll go KB9 VBR testing. And I was able to make a connection with the repeater in Wisconsin Rapids, which is about 60 miles away from here. So you can really extend your range using the repeater systems. Alright, now I'm going to show you something really interesting. This is called the IRLP, or the Internet Repeater Linking Project. Like I said, we've got repeater systems that are stationed in high locations and will retransmit your signal so that you can extend the range of your signal very easily. But we can also link repeaters up with other repeaters, and we can use the internet, voice over IP technology, to extend the range of our repeater systems. So I got dialed up on this radio, one of our local repeaters, and I'm going to connect to another repeater that's located in Denver, Colorado. We'll see if I can make it work. KB9 VBR. First thing I do is I check to make sure that nobody's on the repeater, because we don't want to use the repeater if somebody else is already in a conversation. And then I'll announce what I'm going to do. KB9 VBR accessing RLP. And I just dial in the numbers with the touch tones.
70, link active. Alright, Alpha 30.
And now we're connected to a repeater located in Denver, Colorado.
RHZ, name is John, Yuma County, Arizona, races and area.
And we're already listening. It sounds like we're already listening to a conversation in progress.
Good to hear you. Acknowledging NJRHZ. I heard a rumor you were out there geocaching or something today, and guess I was out of town when you rolled in, but good to hear from you. How long are you going to be around? About 2 weeks, till about the 28th.
Neat thing with the linked repeaters with the RLP is that anybody with an amateur radio license, you don't need the higher privileges to talk around the world. If you have just the basic technician level license, you can be on the IRLP. You can talk to hams across the nation and around the world.